Yo, what's going on, man? Today is February the 9th, top of the morning. This is the NBA ChrisBeCappinn NBA show. I'm live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well. Did not do a night show yesterday. I did not, but I did handicap the games. Um, and wanted to kind of bring you guys some looks. We do have what is it, a 6 or 7 game? I think it's a 6 game slate for today, and there's some numbers on the move already for sure. So we're gonna jump into the card as we always do. I ask that you guys, if you could, hit the like button for me as you join. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and definitely turn the notification bells on. We are coming off a 1-0 day. Yesterday was NBA trade deadline, and a lot of different things going on. Waited for all the smoke to clear, the dust to settle, and took the Minnesota Timberwolves. Man, already liked the spot. I talked about it in the show from the night before, but gave out the Minnesota Timberwolves minus 115, and we cashed there. I actually need to update that. I didn't put a unit on Minnesota. I put 0.75 units, so almost a full unit on Minnesota. And so those numbers are a tad bit off. I didn't win a unit yesterday, but close. I'll update that now that I think about it. So yeah, 1-0 day yesterday. Some crazy stuff happened. So, but yesterday, one quick thing I want to say before we get into the games for the day. But yesterday happening, the trade deadline coming and expiring. We got a lot of teams in today's game that's actually going to be playing, on with those players that were traded. So it's all that you got to go back and think, do these players who were involved in these trades, do they make their debuts today? And it's a lot of them, right? You got Rashawn Holmes in the Washington game. For Philly, you got Buddy Hield. For Toronto, they let go of some guys as well. Charlotte letting go of PJ Washington. The Bucks got Patrick Beverly. So it's a lot to handicap when you're breaking down these games, especially with these teams that were involved in trades, not knowing if these players are going to be there or not. So we'll get into it, but like I said, hit the like button for me if you can, and let's jump into it. I'm gonna get straight to my notes. So first game up, we got the Atlanta Hawks that will be in Philadelphia tonight, taking on the poor man. This team is the Philadelphia 76ers have started to look real bad. So injury report for this one, I think, is first and foremost where we should start. You do have an Atlanta Hawks team that is still suffering with some injuries of their own. They have, let's see, so DeJounte Murray listed as questionable. Of course, Clint Capella is not going to be in, and it looks like DeAndre Hunter is going to play in this game for Philly. This team, man, I'm starting to get worried about Philly, and I'm interested to see where the line goes in this one. Philly is not going to lose every single game, of course, but they're not good defensively right now, and they're not healthy. Philly, 3-7 straight up, and 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games. However, Atlanta not good on the road, just 8-16 on the road. It did look like they kind of, kind of start put things together towards the end of that homestand. Although they have lost the last 2 games against the Clippers to end that homestand, and then they went to Boston and got smoked in that game as well. So, like I said, DeJounte being questionable, that's a. I do think that if DeJounte plays in this game, and he did miss the last game in Boston with the back injury, if he plays in this game, I do think that that they win the game. Atlanta's been difficult to lay points with on the road. I'm not somebody who lays a lot of points with teams on the road that don't play defense. And Atlanta defensively, last 5 games, while they do rank first in offense, they're just 27th in defensive rating. But Philly, terrible, defensively, 29th defensively and 22nd offensively in their last 5 games. So this team is, really missing Joel Embiid. Atlanta also top 5 in rebound percentage, while without Embiid, Philly drops all the way to 24th. So they're struggling to rebound the basketball. Atlanta dominating the second chance points as well off of those offensive rebounds, and Philly not rebounding the ball well. So I think that's a big matchup advantage for the Atlanta Hawks here. Both teams do a really good job of taking care of the basketball. And like I said, the injury wise, you could get Buddy Hield and potentially Campaign. I'm not sure how much he means, but Buddy Hield and Campaign can make their debut in this game. For Philly, we also got to remember, outside of Joel Embiid, I mean, this team they're injury riddled, right? Like you just traded Marcus Morris away. Daniel House Jr. got traded. You're still without Batum, who's struggling with that hamstring injury, DeAnthony Melton, and Robert Covington outside of Joel Embiid. So I do think, all of those injuries, I like I said, don't want to lay points with Philly. Lay points with Atlanta on the road. And both of these teams are also on the first leg of a back-to-back. They both play tomorrow. So I don't think it's the greatest spot for either team. Desperate Philly team, trying to get back on track. It could be a really, really big maxi game. You see the total open at 241, it's up to 243 now, and 244 on some books, and that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, both of these teams pretty poor defensively. You got Philly, 29th in defensive rating last 5 games, and Atlanta, like I said, no better at 22nd. Atlanta also first in offensive rating as well. So I would be looking at Atlanta, man. I think it's difficult to play, especially without the DeJounte Murray, but I'm looking at who Philly's gonna have on the roster tonight, man. If Buddy Hield doesn't play, I'm not sure where the offense comes from. I mean, you got guys like Campaign, but they're also down Patrick Beverly, who got traded as well. So KJ Martin might end up being in the starting lineup. KJ Martin, Tobias Harris, Paul Reed, Kelly Oubre, and Tyrese Maxey. That's not the greatest lineup. We'll just say it like that. So those are my thoughts on this first game. Not going to take too much time because I probably won't end up playing this game if I'm being honest with you guys. But just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on this one. I think I would lean towards – I think the total is a tad bit too – you know what? I can't trust Philly's offense. I know Atlanta's defense hasn't been good, but Philly's really struggled to score the basketball. So I think I lean towards Atlanta on the spread, if I'm being honest with you guys. Like I said, if DeJounte Murray gets ruled in, then this number goes to 4.5, 5, I think, in my opinion. I do think Atlanta is the better team as currently constructed in this game for tonight. Like I said, Philly 24th in Philly is 20. What did I say they were? 22nd in offensive rating. So they've really been struggling to score the basketball. All right, let's go over to Houston and let's go to Toronto. So in this game, we got the Raptors. They will be back home after the long road trip that they were facing versus a Houston Rockets team that's also, a little banged up. Tari Eason is missing time. Then you got Fred VanVleet also who won't play in this game. So Amin Thompson, started and played, did a really good job in that last game. And he has a favorable matchup. This Toronto Raptors defense has not been good. So looking at some, Amin Thompson props, I think might be good in this one. The lines probably aren't going to be as sharp with this only being the second game starting for Coach Ime Udoka. But you do got guys like Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., and Sengun. The problem with the Rockets, man, and this spread, you guys see it on the screen, is 2, in favor of the home team. Total in this one is going up. It opened at 232. And money only coming in on the over. It's up to 233, 233.5 on some books. And for the Toronto side, they'll be fully healthy as far as their starting lineup. You got Quickly, you got Gary Trent Jr., RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. And they, of course, traded Dennis Schroeder, traded Thaddeus Young, but you also got, the status of Abaji coming over from Utah, and Kelly Olynyk is going to be interested in this game because that gives them a lot more depth. If they don't have those guys, I don't really like them in the spot, and I don't like Houston either. Let me make sure I'm frank about that too. Houston has been, what did I write down? The third least profitable team on the road this season, specifically as a dog. So you got Houston just 9-13 against the spread on the road. That's the 4th least profitable team. They also 7-12-1 against the spread as road dogs, 36.8%. And I just watched this team play against Indiana the other day. No desire to play defense at all, man. Indiana got whatever it is that they wanted. And I'm not saying that, Toronto is Indiana by any means at a stretch offensively, but the way that the Rockets play defense on the road, man, it's like night and day. Even the guys that can, play a little defense typically, they weren't playing any defense in that last game. So that kind of leans me towards the over in this game. But let's keep talking about it. So Toronto, on the Toronto side, like I said, first game back home off a 6-game road trip. I'm sorry, I think I said 5. And the first leg of a back-to-back as well. I think they play Atlanta tomorrow. So they'll play Atlanta, who both teams are playing on first leg of back-to-back. This is the problem why I couldn't lay with Toronto. Toronto is only 10-13. That's straight up and against the spread at home. And as a favorite at home, just 6-7. So they haven't been profitable at home specifically. And this was when they, had a better, we could argue, a better lineup earlier in the season. So 10 and 13 straight up, but also just 6 and 7 as a home favorite. Not a, like I said, not a winning record. What else did I have on this game? That was it. I don't feel comfortable. If I had to play it, I would take the points with the Rockets just because I don't trust the Toronto team. But I think the over a little bit more. Toronto just allowed Charlotte to go. That total went up and over. I think they gave up 120 points to get to the Charlotte Hornets. So I would imagine that Toronto, can score in this spot. And I think that the Rockets can also go out there and score. Without Fred VanVleet, I think they're playing at a little bit faster pace. And you still got guys, Jalen Green. You still got guys that come off that bench, Cam Whitmore, that's going to be able to fill it up. So should be a fast-paced game. I don't see anyone on this Houston team that's going to be able to slow quickly down. Without Fred VanVleet being in there, Jalen Green is not the greatest defender. And I'm just not. I'm not sure what they're going to do with if they'll put Dylan Brooks on them or not to try to slow quickly down. I would imagine not, because then RJ Barrett has a pretty good matchup, and Scotty Barnes. So I'm not sure what they'll do, in that spot. But I think I lean towards I'm not thinking. I do lean towards the over in this game, but definitely not touching it from a side perspective. I would not be laying 2 with the Toronto Raptors, and I really don't want to take the 2 with the Houston Rockets either. All right, so we'll keep it moving. Next game up, we got the Wizards and the Celtics. This line opened at 16, I think. Yeah, 16 up to 17 now. And total coming down. 238 is where it opened. It's down to 236 now. And I would say that's for a good reason. First, the biggest question mark in this game is if Jason Tatum is going to be available or not, because he is listed as questionable in this game. And I mean, why even chance it with Tatum, right? Like, I don't think that, you're 17-point favorite with Tatum being listed as questionable. I don't think there's a reason to really chance it. I think looking at the injury report, I did see that that Drew Holiday was going to be questionable. Well, I think he was off the injury report. He did miss the last game. So on the Washington side, of course, they just traded Daniel Gafford to Dallas. Marvin Bagley's also going to miss this game, and that's where I kind of started the handicap, because we know that the Washington Wizards have been historically bad on defense, and they've been historically bad rebounding the basketball on the offensive and defensive glass. And now you're without Marvin Bagley and Daniel Gafford. So I looked into some numbers, and I want to say they're like a minus 15.1 in point differential in the defensive their opponents' points per game, points per 100 minutes. I'm sorry, it was like 123. So they're giving it up. Boston should be able to score at will in this spot. Now, Boston be motivated is the question. I'm not 100% sure. Boston does have a day off tomorrow, but they'll probably fly out tonight to get to Miami. And I'm not saying this to look ahead spot. They just smashed Miami. But I do think that they're going to take Miami serious every single time that they play them. Granted, what happened last year in the playoffs. This Washington Wizards team, man, they are not serious about playing basketball. This is not a good team at all. We continuously cashed on their team total to go under. This is something that's hit the last 2 times that we've taken it. Take it against Phoenix on Sunday, took it against Cleveland. And I still got to look in that direction. I still got to look in that direction specifically. Like I said, the total is coming down. Their team total specifically is 109.5. And I'm kicking myself because last night I saw it at 111.5 at minus 130 on DraftKings. And I think, either one of those should hit, but you definitely want to, get the better value. So wish I had just taken it at 111, but you can get a 109 right now, I think. Washington being on the first leg of a back-to-back, is not going to bode well from this spot. I could see him potentially just, resting Kyle Kuzma and Deni Avdija. They also don't have a lot of scores. I mean, Jordan Poole is out there stinking up the joint. I think, what did Jordan Poole have against Cleveland the other day? Jordan Poole had he had 0 points on 0 for 5 shooting. That's like insane. He did have 5 assists, but I mean, this team is just really struggling to score the basketball. They're averaging just 109 points per game in their last 9. They're 8-1 to the under. In Boston, man, they continuously do this thing. I'm not sure if people are picking up on it, where like if they come out in a home game and don't cover in the first half, they typically smoke you in the first half of the next game. So I think Boston first half to get this game, out of the way. I think that's a good look. And that's, with Tatum or without Tatum. I think you got to rely on your defense a little bit more if you don't have Tatum. And Boston got really good pieces. I'm interested to see though, man, because Boston laying double digits, as a home favorite, something that they do pretty frequently. They can overlook opponents at times. But either way, I just don't think that the Washington Wizards are going to be able to put it together for a full 48 minutes in the spot. So I would look towards Washington, team total to go under the 109.5. I do think that Boston can win this game defensively. And I don't think it's going to be much of a shootout. Like, I know that the total is high, but maybe Boston scores a lot. They also play, at a pretty slow pace. So give me, I'm probably going to end up getting it. I haven't placed any bets yet, but y'all know I'm always looking toward the Washington Wizards, who are so unserious about basketball, to stay under that team total. I think Boston can do a good job in this spot, playing at a pretty slow pace. Also, you got Porzingis in a revenge game against his old team. His three is probably going to be a good look in this spot. The Wizards, they don't do the worst job of defending the three-point line, but that's more so because they give up so many points in the paint and at the rim. But Rashad Holmes not going to want to get pulled out there, trying to guard Porzingis tonight. So I think Porzingis, over his three-point attempts, over his three-point makes, is probably a good look in this spot as well. Continuing on, I can speed up a little bit. Charlotte Hornets will be in Milwaukee tonight, taking on this Bucks team that has looked pretty bad as of late, man. Charlotte not looking any better, but the Bucks, both of these teams not better on right now. You got Charlotte 8-16 against the spread on the road, 1-9 straight up in their last 10, just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. Then on the Milwaukee side, 10-15-1 against the spread at home, 4-6 straight up, and they're just 3-7 in their last 10 games. We did cash, like I said, on the Timberwolves last night. And it's a lot of question marks for this game. A lot of question marks. I think that's probably where you should start the handicap with this one. LaMelo, that's not a question mark. He is still listed as out. But Dame and Chris Middleton both missed the game last night. And I like Minnesota from that aspect, of course. I think they could have won the game with those guys in, but without them, I definitely like Minnesota. So Dame didn't play last night with the ankle injury. You got Chris Middleton, who's listed as questionable, and they still led 14.5 points. Also, Patrick Beverley could play in this game. It's going to be interesting to see if he is already, in Milwaukee, caught a flight last night and is going to be able to suit up for this Milwaukee Bucks team playing on the second leg of a back-to-back. Now, Charlotte also first leg of a back-to-back game here. And while Milwaukee they do have a rematch with the Nuggets on Monday, but they've lost 3 straight, man, not covered any of those games. So I do think that they take this one seriously here. I do think that they do. They need some kind of a win. Even if you get it against a Charlotte team, you want to start building better habits. And defensively, they still look bad. So I do think, I didn't talk about it yesterday, but because I haven't really talked about it, haven't really done a show, but the addition of Patrick Beverley is going to help this team a lot. Pat somebody that's going to come in, lead by example, play defense. You get campaign up out of there. So you keep your shooter in Malik Beasley. But now Damian Lillard doesn't have to do as much on the defensive end. So I do think that and Pat has a contagious energy as well. If he's, out there playing the game the way that he plays the game, which is, the way the game should be played, in my opinion, hard-nosed defense, I do think that that's going to be contagious. And, probably Giannis' new favorite teammate, if I'm being honest, because outside of Giannis, this team's not playing a lot of defense, at all. So how I'm looking at the game. So no PJ Washington for Charlotte, of course. He was traded. But it's going to be interesting to see if Seth and Grant Williams, actually make their debut. They did miss the game. Not miss the game, but they were traded yesterday for PJ Washington. So Seth Curry, Grant Williams, going to be crazy to see Seth with his dad, because his dad does commentary for these games, Del Curry in Charlotte. So, I'm not sure if those guys are, going to be able to play if they caught the flight from Dallas to be in Milwaukee for this game. But the only way I'm looking at it is Milwaukee. I'm looking at the team total to go over in this spot. Haven't played it yet. I think it's 122.5, 123.5. This total also has shot up. It was at 229, up to 232.5 overall. I'm looking at the Bucks, man. This team is 6-2 to the over when they're unrested. They're the what did I write down? They're the third best offensive efficiency team in the NBA when they're unrested this season. Charlotte has also allowed 123 points or more in 3 of their last 4 games. And now, they're I think they're going to struggle even more. Gordon Hayward, of course, was traded even though he wasn't playing to OKC. So a little fire sale there outside of, outside of LaMelo Ball. I mean, not a lot of superstar talent. Of course, Miles Bridges wanted to stay. But those are my thoughts, man. I do think that I'm not laying points with the Bucks. I do think that's a pretty big number for an unrested team. And Charlotte's not serious about winning basketball games either. But they could cover this game. They have covered 2 in a row at home. They covered that game against Toronto, covered against the Lakers. So they're playing, a little bit more inspired basketball, but they still just trash. Not a lot of talent there. Big talent discrepancy in this game. So team total over for the Milwaukee Bucks is the way I'm looking to play this one. Like I said, still haven't got involved yet. Let's keep going. I think we got 2 more games left. The next game is the Denver Nuggets, who beat my LA Lakers last night. So glad I stayed off of that game because I did want to get there with the Lakers and the unveiling the Kobe statue and all that. But I just couldn't get there with that. So Denver on the road, 1-point dogs in Sacramento, who just laid one of the biggest eggs you're going to see this year. Lost as a 12.5-point favorite to the Detroit Pistons just 2 nights ago. This total 233.5. Not a lot of movement so far on the total in this game. So whenever you have these teams playing on the second leg of back-to-back games, the first thing I think to always take into consideration is the injury report when it comes out. KCP didn't play yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see if he plays in this game. I think something to take into consideration. And for the Kings, I think they'll be pretty healthy in this spot. So this will be the second matchup between these 2 teams. That first game, Sacramento did win. They were playing this Denver team without Jamal Murray, and Denver was also on the second leg of a back-to-back, as they are in this game as well. That game went up and over the total. I think it was 227.5, I think. And I like the total in this one as well. I know Denver is a pretty slow-paced team. They're also the number 1 defensive rated team when they're playing unrested, but they're 22nd in offensive efficiency. But I think this one, Sacramento is a one-way ticket for me at home. It's always up and over. The Kings are 14-7 to the over as home favorites this season. That's 67%. And the Kings, they typically do take advantage of these teams playing on the second leg of back-to-backs. I already mentioned they beat Denver earlier this season. Like I said, that was without Jamal Murray. So now you get Jamal Murray in, who had a really big game last night. I think that was a meaningful game for Denver as well. They just don't like the Lakers. And they match up really, really well with the Lakers. The Lakers don't match up well with them. So they always going to try to, kill that team. And I think they probably got revenge on their mind in that spot. I don't know what I'm going to do as far as the spread yet. I got to look a little bit more into it, figure out who's going to all be in and who's going to be out. But the Kings are 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread after a home loss if they're in a home game again. So this is the spot where, I know that, not trustworthy team being the Kings, especially at home. But that's typically when they land, a big number. That's when I'm looking to fade them more so. So those are my, my initial thoughts on this game. Like I said, you maybe want to rate on the injury report for Denver. Not like he hasn't done this before, but Coach Mike Brown did call out the Kings for, that poor defensive effort. And, De'Aaron Fox, I think, was held to 12 points against the Detroit Pistons. Totally unacceptable. So, Sacramento, I feel like if I lay the point with Sacramento and they lose the game, I don't know if it's going to be the right side, even though, like I said, they are a profitable team at home on the, playing against an unrested team, 4-0 straight up. 4-0, well, I'm sorry, not 4-0 straight up. 4-0 straight up if they lost the game at home and then they're home favorite in the next game. 9-4 straight up versus an unrested opponent. So could it be that simple? I'm not sure. I know that this game will, and I remember Coach Mike Brown going back to the total, liking this one to go over. I do remember Mike Brown saying, he employed his guys to run Denver because he knew they were on the second leg of a back-to-back. So Denver starters played big minutes last night. Like I said, you got to wait on the status of KCP. But I do think they can score, man. Sacramento will be able to score. 14-7 to the over as home favorites. I think that they get this one up and over the total between the two teams. So those are my thoughts on this one. And then last game, Pelicans and my LA Lakers on the second leg of a back-to-back. This one is moving, and another one. Just not 100% sure, man. I think to me, looking at the handicap, it's got to be Pelicans or nothing. Lakers are, or at least started this laying a point. The spread opened with the Lakers laying a point. Total was 235 and a half, and the total's coming down. This is one that I probably will get involved in for sure. So injury wise, Zion is listed as questionable. He's been listed as questionable the last few games and has played in those games. Najee Marshall also listed as questionable, and you do want to wait on that injury report for the Lakers. D'Angelo Russell missed the game last night. You also see Max Christie go out, with I think it was a lower leg injury. Lakers not healthy right now, man. It's really, really tragic. So you got to wait on the status of D'Lo. You also got to wait on the status of, Max Christie. Don't forget, you got to wait on the status of LeBron James and Anthony Davis because there's no guarantee that both of those guys will play on the second leg of a back-to-back. You also got Jared Vanderbilt who's continuing to miss time. Cam Reddish, and Darvin Ham just talks about, just want, and LeBron too, post game talked about, just wanting this team to get healthy to see what they're really made of. The Lakers, I think, are going to struggle to score in this spot. We remember the earlier matchup between these two teams when they played when they played the in-season tournament game, and the Lakers absolutely throttled this Pelicans team. The Pelicans did get their revenge in the last matchup. They caught the Lakers on the second leg of a back-to-back and beat the brakes off of them. They beat them 129-109 in New Orleans on the last day of the year. That total did go up and over to 233, but the way I see the Lakers right now is if they're not playing defense, they're going to get blown out of games because they don't have a lot of offensive firepower. We know the Pelicans are a really good defensive team as well. So a couple numbers that I kind of looked at. You look at this Pelicans team, they're 7-4 straight up, facing unrested opponents this season. They're +8. Like I said, it's Pelicans, got to be Pelicans or nothing. I'm just not sure if I'm going to get there. Definitely want to wait on the injury news. But the Pelicans, like I said, 7-4 straight up when facing an unrested opponent. You look at this Lakers team when they're playing unrested with no days rest, 2-6 straight up, 1-7 against the spread. They're losing those games by average of 10 points. So there's a +18 point differential. When you look at the Pelicans facing an unrested opponent, they win by 8. When the Lakers are playing unrested, they lose by 10 on average across 8 games so far. New Orleans is also 4-4 in road games with 3 points when the spread is within 3. So when they're either laying, less than 3, or they're getting 3 points. As far as the total, I think that's what I'm probably most interested in. Playing this under 235, I see a couple 235s, even though it is trickling down to 234 and a half. I always like playing the under when it's two teams that don't like each other. We just saw this happen yesterday with the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. That total went under, and I really wanted to get there. Of course, I didn't, but that total went under. The Lakers are a team that does play, with pretty good pace. Top 5 throughout the majority of the season. They like to get out and run off turnovers. But I do think that in this game specifically, because they're at home, they play a little bit more defense. Like I said, if the Lakers not playing defense, they're going to probably get blown out of this game because this Pelicans team can score and they can also defend. So two teams that don't like each other, I think that's part of the handicap. The Lakers were embarrassed in New Orleans in that, like I said, 129-120. 129-109 loss earlier this season. And the Lakers 3-0 to the under when they're unrested this season as well at home. And then at home in general, 16-10 to the under. So that's 61.5% says this game goes under. But also I looked at the Lakers at home when they're playing against a good team. So a team with a 55% win percentage or better, 8-2 to the under are the Lakers in that spot. So this is when they play their, best brand of basketball. Also probably feel like they got a bad taste in their mouth for losing the game against Denver on the statue revealing night for Kobe. So Bron and AD played big minutes last night. Like I said, one of those guys could potentially not be in for this game. But I like the under. I like the under in this spot, probably a little bit more than I like anything else. So just real quick, going back through the whole entire card, giving you guys my top looks, because that is the last game. Atlanta and Philly, like I said, I like Atlanta, man. I may not get there, not quite sure, because how bad their defense is. But if DeJounte Murray gets ruled in, like I said, this line might close at 5. But you also want to wait, see if Buddy Hield gets in, because that'll help, that Philadelphia offense a lot. They need another shooter out there. Yeah, so I would definitely pay attention to that news. Houston and Toronto, I think I'd be taking the dog in that spot. I'd be taking Houston. Granted, like I gave you guys the numbers, but I don't know if I can trust Toronto right now. Don't know if I can trust Toronto. Do like the over in that game as well. Washington and Boston. Washington team total under 109.5. That, like I said, the number's already dropped. But that's what I like in that spot. Charlotte and Milwaukee. Milwaukee team total over 122, 123, whatever that number is. I do like that a lot as well. In Denver, Sacramento, another game I kind of like the over in. Denver being on the second leg of a back-to-back. Sacramento runs pretty fast. Don't play a lot of defense. So I like the over in that spot. And then maybe my top spot on the board. And like I said, I don't have any best plays yet, but just kind of sharing notes with you guys. Pelicans and Lakers under. I do think that number at 235.5 is a tad bit too high, especially given all the injuries. But you could wait. You could wait and see if D'Angelo Russell gets ruled in, because he'll definitely help that Lakers offense. If he's ruled in, maybe the total goes up. You also want to wait on Zion. Zion gets ruled in this game. That could also make the total go up. And then you come back in on the under. So just kind of sharing looks, man, kind of sharing thoughts, letting you guys know what I'm looking at. Hopefully we can kind of keep it going with whatever it is that we end up playing. So real quick before I get out of here, people always ask for this, so I'm just going to share it with you guys. Resources, right? I always talk about these. Where am I, looking to make these bets? Where am I getting my information from? You guys see NBA.com advanced stats, Killer Sports, Give Me the Dog. These are the sports data query language websites that I use to find these situational spots. OddsJam, as always, shout out to the sponsor. Use code CBC. Link is in the description if you guys are interested in checking out OddsJam. Get you 25% off your first month. Probably the best sports betting tool out there in the industry. And then Cleaning the Glass is where I get a lot of these analytical numbers with, players being in and off the floor, looking at their, offensive and defensive rating, free throw percentage, all of those different things. So that's all I got for you guys, man. That's all I got for you guys today. 30 minutes in the books. Appreciate everybody for tapping in as always. Do me a favor and hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you guys haven't. And share the video. Bet responsibly. Best of luck. Enjoy the games, everyone. I will be back for the NBA ChrisBeCappinn show, 5 p.m. like always on Monday, and potentially a night show. It's a lot of games tomorrow. Already looked at the slate for tomorrow. It's a lot of games for tomorrow. I want to say more than 10 for tomorrow. So appreciate everybody for tapping in as always. Let me go through the chat real quick. What up, Young Harlow? Or says, appreciate your work, Chris. All the best from Israel. My God, appreciate that, Or. What's up, Marcus? Good morning to you, my brother. My opinion's not yours. Let's get this money, Chris. What's up, my brother? JC, Ape, I see you in the chat. What up, Jermaine? Brian, always checking in. What up, Si? My brother. Justin, what's up, my brother? How you, man? Courtney, what's going on, bro? David, Sportsman, appreciate y'all, man. Best of luck to y'all on this Friday, man. Best of luck. Enjoy the games. Bet responsibly. I'm out. Catch y'all in the next one.